God's ever-presence,
God's still presence,
and God's absolute presence.
Ever-presence. This happens when a person deliberately attempts to acquire an actual relationship with the Lord. From there, since the Lord wants a relationship with all of his children, an intimate relationship is established, and the person is actually aware of the connection, but even still, they are aware of it on a subconscious level. And it's on a subconscious level because if I told someone who had his ever-presence about it, they would probably deny it until I broke it down. So it would basically be like a reality check for them. And I know about it and can see whom also has it because of the intense levels that I do it in. When I do things outside the will of God, I can still feel his ever-presence, but it's not as warm, so it's cold. Once outside his will, though, through ever-presence, I can tell when I'm back in it once again.
God's ever-presence,
God's still presence,
and God's absolute presence.
Still presence. It can be explained in a matter of seconds. When a person goes camping, the next morning, when they wake up to the birds singing and the sound of wind blowing through the trees, in that moment is still presence. If a person goes on a hike, once you get to that destination and you're nice and far away from society, that is still presence. And, believe it or not, after getting off of a roller coaster, in those very brief moments after you get off, that is still presence. Still presence, by definition, is an absolute moment of clarity that can lead to proper discernment of your spiritual self. Is still presence meditation? No, it's deeper, and it's harder to acquire than a meditative state of Zen. Let's say you like to meditate, so much in fact that at this point you now know 3 different forms of meditational practices. With still presence, you can figure out which forms and breathing concepts best fit your immediate person, which ones to keep, and which ones to discard. Without ever experiencing still presence, this same person may quite possibly continue all the meditations, thinking they're one up from everyone else, yet never acquiring the inner peace they desire, and never understanding why. Unfortunately, our society is intentionally designed to prevent us from acquiring still presence.
God's ever-presence,
God's still presence,
and God's absolute presence.
Primal essence of conscientious existence. Absolute presence.